Hello, this is David Lee, and I am here sharing a presentation that I gave in February of 2012 at the Violence-Free Teens Conference that was organized by Peace Over Violence. And the presentation was called Innovations in Prevention, National Overview of Trends in Teen Dating Violence Prevention. This was a presentation that was well received, and so I want to give an opportunity to have this recording so you can be able to see some of the themes that I think are very important in understanding teen dating violence. So when we talk about teen dating violence prevention, really pose the question, what does it take to prevent teen dating violence? Is it something that's going to work with just information alone? So let me take an example. There's this image, which many of you will recognize as the food pyramid. And for those of you who are knowledgeable, will realize that actually we should be looking at the My Plate, which is the newest piece of information. Is this sufficient for changing behavior? Just because we know about how to eat healthy, actually have the attitude that eating healthy is good for us and believe it, will it actually change behavior? Because I know that to be able to prevent teen dating violence, it is not going to be done by knowledge alone. There's no perfect brochure that's going to say no teen dating violence that's going to lead to that change. Creating that change is going to take much more than this. And that's why we need to be able to think about what are some of the trends in teen dating violence prevention that will lead to creating that change within our communities and within our norms to be able to lead to the prevention of teen dating violence. Now, the concept of teen dating violence is a relatively new one that people have begun to get some understanding of. In 2006, we saw the national recognition of Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Week. By 2010, it's moved to an entire month. And this year, what we saw is a presidential proclamation done by President Obama, once again recognizing Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. So what we can see is a lot of this information that's continuing to be out there for us to get, recognizing teen dating violence taking place. And there's many projects that do work, whether it's the Love is Respect work, or the National Dating Violence Hotline, or the Start Strong, the Robert Wood Johnson funded initiative, with 14 teen dating violence prevention programs, or work from national groups like Break the Cycle, or from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that have had a wide variety of work on teen dating violence, whether it might be embedded in their RPE program in all the states, or the 14 Delta states, or the 19 Delta Prep states, the Dating Matters e-learning unit for teachers, and also the Dating Matters strategies to promote healthy teen relationships that's just starting now in 4 sites in the United States. Yet, when we look at these different pieces, there's several trends that I've seen. And one of the important trends is the recognition that we need to engage men and boys in this work. And that's an important direction that's been moving forward. This here is sort of just a list of some of the national and international models I've been working from engaging men and boys and within the work. Some of these are culturally specific programs. Some of them are ones that are going to be taking place within the United States. Many of the most exciting efforts are those that are taking place around the world. So you'll see programs here from Brazil and in South Africa as examples of efforts. So some of these have been, in each of these different efforts are ways to be able to engage men and have men and boys being able to speak out and take action to prevent sexual violence and teen dating violence within their communities. The Department of Justice, Office Against Violence to Women, has established their own with funding in the Violence Against Women Act, has begun to grant programs to agencies such as Peace Over Violence here over in California where I was presenting at, but to be able to have 23 sites throughout the country to begin looking at how they'll be engaging men and boys in prevention efforts. Another theme that we've seen is one that's about empowering women and girls. And this does have to pose the question of, is this a new trend? Or is this something that we've seen for quite a while? In fact, if we look at the origins of our violence against women movement, fundamentally it's been about the work that women have done to be able to work to empower women and girls to be able to create change. But what I'm seeing now is a trend, is a renewed emphasis on recognizing how we need to be able to do this and look at the way that women and girls are not just seen as potential victim, but recognizing how they can be agents of change to create change within our communities. And so whether these are examples of programs like the V-Girls, or the work that the Ms. Foundation for Women has done, or the work of Hardy Girls and Healthy Women, of which we see Lynn Michael Brown, who spoke at the Peace Over Violence is Violence-Free Teens event and the Spark Summit, or whether it be Peace Over Violence's own Be Strong curriculum, that we see ways of working on engaging and working with young women and girls. Another approach that we're seeing quite a bit of programs on are bystander approaches. And what's exciting about bystander approaches is that it's looking at this in a way that's not trying to identify everyone as either potential victims or potential perpetrators, but recognizes that people within the community are potential bystanders who can take action to create change. And so these have become a model that we're starting to see more and more work that's been moving forward. This is a recent cartoon that we saw, which actually gives sort of the way of some level of bystander intervention, because it's not always going over and breaking up the fight, but often creating distractions or other ways to be able to intervene and support people on their own. And so many of the efforts we can see within this slide, just to highlight some of those highlights, would be work such as the National Sexual Violence Resource Center has put out their engaging bystander materials. That Green Dot, starting in the University of Kentucky and now being a program throughout the country, is bringing bystander programs that creates a really great opportunity to be able to develop this campaign within different schools and communities throughout the United States. Here in California, we've recently become an 8-site pilot, and this is being done throughout the country. I'm particularly impressed with the work being done in Kentucky and New Jersey, seeing the widespread adaptation. And the bottom is a bystander intervention poster that was developed over at the University of New Hampshire. And we see the work that the researchers have been developing some really exciting programs and implementing programs of bystander intervention at that university and beginning to replicate this in other sites. These are just some of the examples of some of the bystander work. Not only are programs developing, but the research is catching up. And that we saw that last summer in the Journal of Violence Against Women, there was an entire issue dedicated to the issues of research around bystander intervention programs. And as we see the research becoming more robust, we can see a way that we're going to be able to create change in being able to create vibrant, powerful prevention programs that can be able to make a difference. Another trend that's been here has been moving towards moving to evidence-based. And when I talk about evidence-based, I think what's really exciting about evidence-based is that we recognize while there's few research studies that have proven what works, we are now in a process of trying to build the evidence necessary and have our practice-informed evidence to be able to make the best decision-making. In the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention put out the first of 3 booklets called Understanding Evidence. It really talks about types of evidence that we can use in evidence-based decision-making. And so while they're including the best available evidence of effectiveness, the research evidence of effectiveness, they're also looking at how we have to draw on experiential evidence and contextual evidence. And to me, this is exciting because it's what it's doing is being able to merge together the expertise and of research and researchers and bring it with also the expertise and the knowledge of practitioners, and together with those and understanding the context, we can get the best understanding of how we are going to be able to create effective teen dating violence prevention programs. And I think we're thinking about new ways to measure change, and that we have to be able to move forward and being able to look at how we can do this. Our goal is to prevent teen dating violence. Yeah, that's something that we can't do immediately in a very quick, easy steps. So we have to find new ways to be able to do that measuring. So one of the ways that excites me was some work out of University of New Hampshire that Vicki Baynard and her colleagues, and it was looking at adapting the article called Sexual Violence Prevention, the Role of Stages of Change, and adapting the Stages of Change model to look at a way to be able to look at how we can see if an environment is changing to be able to become one that's going to be able to be conducive to prevention. And what they've taken is each of the stages and developed a scale. Now, the next trend that I see is the use of social media and recognizing that we are in a world that is full of different types of media, and we can see a wide range. Now, I myself am a very big fan of Twitter, and you'll see me active also within Facebook, and these are ways of being able to communicate with each other. And what social media is doing is creating new ways to be able to get information across. So at the conference that I was in Los Angeles, the Violence Free Teen Conference, here were just an example of some of the tweets that afternoon of people tweeting to share information. So not only the people at the conference were able to get information, but people around the country were able to share and learning from each other. I'm really excited by the work that has been done by the That's Not Cool campaign, and this is just an example of some of the work that's being done. This is a project of the Futures Without Violence, and creates a great opportunity for people to talk about abuse within the digital realm, and then be able to talk about using social media to help combat it. There's also been the development of mobile technology, mobile apps, and so we see this one. This is TD411, and so it's an app about teen dating, and so it's a way to provide information. One app, here's one that's from Love Is Not Abuse, which is another app that we can see to be able to advance this. And one that excites me tremendously is Hollaback. And we see the work that they've done in their app. And their focus is about ending street harassment, which I think is very linked to issues of teen dating violence. And as an app, what it does is finds ways to create activism and to document what's going on. If you see some street harassment taking place or experiencing it, you can be able to document it on your app with a photo or without a photo. You can be able to talk about which type of abuse it is, and then congratulations, you've hollerbacked. And what you can then do is start creating maps that show where these are taking place. And so we can see this map here. What I'm thrilled about is that their new I've Got Your Back campaign is now going to not just document where street harassment takes place, but where people are taking action to be active bystanders to prevent it. And so now we're using technology to be able to help advance, and soon our maps will not just be of the incidents, but to be able to start capturing where people are taking action to be able to create change. Fundamentally, when we talk about teen dating violence prevention, it's not about education. It's not just about a curriculum. It's not just about that strategy, but it's about trying to engender creative, collective action to create change. If we are going to change the norms that are necessary to prevent teen dating violence, it cannot be done by information alone, but about finding ways to foster action. And there's so many exciting trends that I'm seeing that are demonstrating how collective action can make a difference. The work from Move to End Violence, which is really trying to rejuvenate a movement to end violence against women and girls, and so spoken on some of the work, and so I've been following the work on their website. And that we can look at the international work that we're seeing out of the UN, which actually counts how many actions have been taken around the world to end violence against women. And then fundamentally what we're seeing is young people taking leadership and young people taking action. And indeed the great hope that we have in being able to prevent teen dating violence and creating a world that we want to see is how youth are taking action. And I think that at the conference of the Violence Free Youth Teens Conference really exemplified this by seeing so many teen participants at the conference with the teen track, and having young people who followed the presentation I give to share their insights and understanding about what action it will take for them to move forward. And so whether it's them organizing flash mobs, here's one from Oakland, California with the I Am Jane campaign, and this was just rehearsals for their pieces. The recent work that this was from a recent newsletter by the Washington Coalition Against Sexual Assault, talking about their work. Camp Peaceworks over in Pennsylvania, up in Washington State, also the Teen Learning Council. We can see many different types of efforts. And what, as I said, I was excited to see over at the Violence Free Teen Conference by Peace Over Violence, the great work that youth have been doing. Because fundamentally, it's the work that youth are taking to be over violence, that youth are working to prevent teen dating violence, that's going to be able to be the change. And these are some of the trends that I see in being able to move forward. So thank you very much. If you want, we will also have a link to a document which will have links to all of the resources on this page on the PreventConnect.org website. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you will join us at other Prevent Connect activities in the future. Thank you very much.